Offset printing is basically for your bulk printing, while digital printing is for your short runs. So let's say if you want to print 10,000 flyers, printing them in offset would be better in rates, it would be quicker, the quality would be better. Whereas if you want to print 10 flyers, that is when you use digital printing for your requirement. Lamination is basically a coating that is going on top of a paper material. Let's say if a client likes a matte finish, that is when we opt for a matte lamination. Whereas a glossy lamination gives an extra shine to your product. Art paper is a category of paper basically. Art matte is a matte finish directly on the paper, whereas the gloss paper will have the shine in itself. GSM is the the short form that we use for the grammage of the paper. So yes, a person without no technical know-how will find it a little bit difficult. So we will probably show it with an example. This is something that everyone knows. It's the daily copier paper that we use, right? The grammage, from an expert point of view, we just feel it and we understand it. It is 80 GSM wood-free, that is the type of paper that we use. Most common paper that we use for copy machines. On the other hand, we talk about business cards. The most common type of paper that we use is the 350 GSM art paper, which can have the lamination. It could be either matte lamination or glossy lamination, depending on the client requirement. And we can have the brochure, for example, the brochure. Now on here, we can have multiple GSMs depending on the client requirements. Higher the GSM, the thicker the book would be or the material would be. For example, in this case, where it is a book, the cover page is slightly thick. So in this case, we have used 350 GSM paper with a lamination. So when a lamination comes into the picture, it gives an additional thickness. In this case, we have used glossy lamination, which gives a shine to the cover. Whereas on the inner side, it is 170 GSM, which is slightly thicker, because more the number of pages, if we use thicker papers, it isn't suitable to use. So that's the reason why we have a thicker cover page and thinner inner pages. You might have seen special effects that's there on brochures or business cards. A spot UV is basically an additional chemical layer that goes on top of a specific area. For example, in case of a business card, let's say you have your logo and your names. So the spot UV is being applied. If you apply the spot UV on top of the name and the logo, there is a specific shine that comes onto these areas. So this is the use of spot UV. So in this case, we have a spot UV on the logo specified here. The other areas, it is not very much visible. Just the logo is having the spot UV, and that is prominent. So which gives an additional attraction to the business card. Footboard is a grade of packaging material, and it is basically used for the packaging industry, especially if you want to have a thicker board, especially when you have food items coming into use. The name itself, it is a relevant food board. So that is where the footboard comes into the picture. So let me take a case scenario. I will take a cafe in this example. So when you go to a cafe, you purchase cakes. So they cannot give it out to you in an open manner, so they actually pack it. So the box that they use for packing is made of food board. So this is a primary example. Let's have another example, the burger boxes. So when you order burger boxes, you get all these fancy boxes which is made out of food board. So you can customize these food board. You know, you can have your own designs on the food board. You can have your own type of customized printing on the food board. Grey board is primarily a thick board, which is basically used for the fabrication of hard case boxes. An example would be, let's say you have all these premium boxes that you see for your corporate giveaways. The underlying material of these boxes is a grey board, which is kind of thick. It gives a sturdiness to the product that is being packed inside. It gives additional security to the product that's inside. I would talk about first the 4-color printing. So any printing has a primary set of colors which we call as CMYK, that is cyan, magenta, yellow and black. So let's say red. The color red can be printed from cyan, a percentage of cyan, a percentage of magenta, yellow and black. So when these four colors combine, we get the color red. So when we print the CMYK, that is 4-color printing, we get the shade red. Whereas so for example, in this book, you see multiple colors together. So all of these is a percentage of cyan, magenta, yellow and black combined together. So when you combine all of these together, you get a shade of print. Whereas in a Pantone shade, Pantone color printing, what we do is we pick a specific color. Well, these colors cannot be printed if we use shades from the cyan, magenta, yellow and black. We use just a specific shade of red. So that is a unique color. So this is the primary difference between a 4-color CMYK printing and a spot or a Pantone color printing. In this scenario, we have a voucher that is being printed. So we can print this in 4-color. We can also print this in Pantone shades. So I'll give you an example. So when you print it in 4-color, there is a specific shade that we get. It is printed at a go. When you print at a go, we get all the colors together. Whereas in a Pantone color printing, we print the green separately, we print the yellow separately. It could have a different tone, it could have a unique tone. The tone that we get after printing a Pantone color and a 4-color printing is very different. And we see a lot of brands concentrating on their Pantone brand guidelines, and this is the reason, because this color will not be copied or this color cannot be achieved by the regular 4-color printing.